Guys, how you doing? This is Dan here with Cigar Salute. I want to thank everybody who took the time to watch the Adobe feature last month. That feature was something that I had cooking up for quite a while because I had been really curious about the Adobe line of cigars, and I'm just really pleased with the way it came out, as well as seeing the reactions that people gave in the comments section. You guys had some real well thought out and concise answers, and I know how far south topics like this can go. I know it can turn into a real shitstorm real quick, and I'm pleased to say that that did not happen, that you guys really kept it classy there, and I want to thank you guys for that. And I want to thank all the newcomers who have taken the time to check out my content recently. Quite a bit of new subscribers in the last month or two. So thank you very much, and I hope you guys are finding the content relevant, useful, and entertaining. Okay? And I also want to thank the guys who took the time to participate in the trivia contest that I hosted in the Adobe feature. You guys will be getting your t-shirts soon. The delays are basically due to me being indecisive about what the final design on the t-shirt was going to be, and also I wanted to make sure that the t-shirts were reasonably durable. I sent them through a few loads in the laundry, through the washer and dryer. Wanted to make sure that they wouldn't, that the decal wouldn't come off easily or anything like that. And I'm pleased to say that so far they appear to have passed all the durability tests. And as far as these shirts being up for sale, that's something that you'll see a little further down the road. I want to express my gratitude, and I want to say that I am very humbled by those of you who inquired about Cigar Salute t-shirts. Just the fact that there's those of you out there who are interested in wearing my merch and representing the Cigar Salute brand, that means a lot to me. And I'm going to have those shirts for you guys in short order. Keep you guys posted on that, okay? We got a bunch of topics I want to discuss tonight, and mostly I'm going to keep it light today, all right? There's a little bit of news to go over, but before we get into all that, I just want to say that this channel has covered a lot of ground over the last year and change, okay? We have outed some frauds. We have vetted some cigar merchants, and we have shown reliable avenues where someone can go to reliably purchase genuine Cuban cigars. And we have also discussed extensively how to determine authenticity, frequently asked questions, do's and don'ts. We have gone over so many scenarios that we have prepared so much, and now it is time to really focus on the cigars, okay? So going forward, we're not going to be covering as much about the retailers. We're not going to be covering quite as much about authenticity and whatnot. Now, part of the content of this channel is helping newcomers to the Cuban cigar community acclimate themselves, so that will always be part of the channel. But now that we have we've built such a good base in getting those essentials out of the way, now we can really focus on the cigars. So what I want to talk about, and what I want to help you guys do as far as the newcomers go, and as far as the old heads who have been around for a while, I want to hear your recommendations as well. We're going to talk about the cigars, okay? And we're going to talk about starting a collection from the ground up, and we're going to talk about building a collection that's already been established, okay? We're going to talk about everything from the low-end budget cigars all the way up to the primo, and going into the limited editions and the regional editions, okay? So the feature tonight will focus on 3 different lists I've assembled of cigars. And this will be what comprises Humidor Scores Volume 3, which is the feature that I am presenting to you guys tonight. Okay? So before we get into that, those of you who have been with me for a while know that in the intro I like to go over general announcements and news. So something I want to talk about is the shipping times from the cigar retailers, okay? So we know that earlier in the year that COVID-19 really impacted the shipping times from pretty much every cigar retailer across the board. Anybody that used the USPS as a shipping vessel, they suffered delays related to COVID-19 and travel restrictions, okay? Pleased to say that in almost all cases that these shipping delays have been resolved and shipping times are back to what they were essentially before COVID-19 happened, okay? I just want to say with one notable exception, Friends of Habanos is still suffering from very frequent delays in shipping in a lot of cases. You are much more likely to have an issue with them than any other retailer at this point in regards to shipping errors or issues. Okay, what it seems is happening, and it's happening to me personally as we speak. So this isn't just shit I'm reading about on the internet. This is stuff that's happening to me and people I know. Okay, it's happening to guys in my Facebook club. It's happening to guys on Instagram that I talk to. It's reading about it from the guys on Reddit, and I'm getting emails about it. So it's happening enough where it's something that I have to discuss here, okay? And that is, people are ordering from Friends of Habanos, and the orders are coming into the USA via Los Angeles International Airport, and the orders are going through customs. They're going through the regional distribution center, and then at some point, if you're lucky, it's immediately, but in some cases, it's quite a while, weeks, months after. Myself personally, it was 2 months. The packages are being bounced back and sent back to Australia, and Friends of Habanos is having to reship those orders. I know one individual that had the same package get bounced back to Australia twice and is now on round 3. Okay? So, for some reason, it's not customs, or at least tracking is saying that it's not customs snagging these items. I'm not sure what's flagging them to get sent back to Australia, but I could tell you that I had 2 Friends of Habanos orders this summer, and one of them came through just fine and was average delivery time, which is about 3 weeks. And then the other one, which got into the U.S. a week later than the one that I received, it sat in customs for a couple of days, and then it said it went through processing in the regional sorting facility, and then it said it was out for shipping or was in transit, and that was August 9th, and then I didn't receive any update on the package at all until October the 8th, which was this past Friday. So that's 59 days, roughly, without any sort of indication about where the package is, where it was going, or anything like that. And only just now am I learning that the package was on its way back to Australia. The package just landed back in Australia the other day, and that's why tracking updated, okay? So odds are these cigars that I ordered on the 17th of July, I probably won't see them at my doorstep until early to mid-November, all right? So I want to make you guys aware of that. If you guys are in quick need of a resupply for your collection, I would advise maybe pass over FOH for now, because if you're running low and you really need to give your collection an infusion rapidly, then you might be stuck waiting for those cigars for months to come. Okay? And I can't blame FOH for this or anything like that. It's out of their control. I mean, they don't have control over what the USPS does, but hopefully if this continues to happen, they'll figure something out and maybe perhaps offer a different medium for shipping. But I'll keep you guys posted on what goes on with that, and if I hear anything different, I'll certainly let you know. Okay? As far as everything else goes, the other thing that you guys are going to notice when you're out and about browsing the various retailers, You're going to notice that prices have gone up across the board in a lot of cases with most retailers, and you are going to notice on the bottom end and at the very top end that prices have increased dramatically. I mean, in some cases, the prices are double what they originally were last year. Okay? And I don't believe that this is a Habanos SA sanctioned price increase. What I believe this is that it's related to supply and demand, and perhaps the distributors or suppliers that supply these retailers, they're charging higher prices due to the fact that they're having issues refilling, restocking their inventory. Okay? Cuba was having a lot of problems getting product out and exporting product earlier in the year, and that still has not caught up. And the international markets for cigars, especially because when we were all home earlier in the year, during the heat of COVID, a lot of us were smoking more and we were ordering more. You know, if you're home all day, you have nothing to do. You know, what are you doing? You know, you're smoking and you're probably playing around on your phone. And a lot of us maybe hit the order button a little too hard. I mean, you know, I'm not complaining about it. It is what it is, you know. But what I am going to say is that you'll notice a lot of out of stocks at the vendors that are just starting to get replenished now. And you'll notice that the prices have gone up drastically in a lot of cases. So keep that in mind. And one thing I want to say is that when you see a box of cigars that the price has increased $200 on a box, or the price has doubled from what it was in January, I'm encouraging you not to buy those cigars, because the last thing we want to do is show these retailers that we are willing to pay their gouged prices. All right? If we show these retailers that we're willing to pay an extra $200 or double price for a box of cigars, they're going to be less inclined to bring those prices down when all of this resumes normalcy and the supply chain is back to business as usual. Okay? If they think they can sell it at that price, they will. All right? That's the nature of capitalism. If they think that's the new market price, or if they're trying to set a new market price, don't let them have it so easily, is what I'm saying. Okay? I would advise, if you're on a hunt for a particular box of cigars, try the secondary market. If you participate in and trust the Facebook or whatever Cuban cigar groups, try to procure your cigars there, because the cigars are much less likely to be marked up to the extent that some of these retailers are charging for some of the cigars, okay? You're not really going to notice a huge price increase in a lot of the middle-of-the-road cigars, so a lot of it won't be affected, but you will notice it the most, particularly a lot of the cigars that I rattled off during the Cheap and Cheerful Cuban cigar feature in the Humidor Scores Volume 1. A lot of those cigars that I listed as being, $100 or less, a lot of them are well over $100 at this moment. Okay, and hopefully that is just a temporary situation. But I really believe that is up to us to decide whether we're going to pay those kind of prices or not. Because I am convinced that these are not Habanos SA sanctioned price increases. And how do I come to that conclusion? I come to that conclusion because when you go to La Casa del Habanos, or you go to Habanos Specialists, you don't have price increases that are nearly this drastic, if at all. Okay, their prices are the same as they were 6 months ago. Their prices are the same as they were 3 months before that. Okay, so that tells me that this is something that's a symptom of the gray market in particular. So just be really careful, guys, and just keep your head on a swivel when it comes to this kind of stuff, all right? So without further ado, we are going to get into Humidor Scores Volume 3. We'll be right back. What's up, guys? And welcome to Humidor Scores Volume 3. In the first segment of Humidor Scores Volume 3, what we're going to be doing is we're going to imagine that we have $300 and an empty humidor. Okay? Now, this part of the feature is geared towards a day one Cuban cigar smoker, somebody who's not really familiar with the marcas, somebody who is still trying to figure out where their palate lies in terms of, do they like full body cigars? Do they like sweet and mild cigars? Do they like cigars that are a little bit of both? And this is a list of selections that I have compiled, that the focus of this is variety. Okay? This list covers most of the major brands, and it will really give a newcomer a good sense of the profiles that Cuban tobacco can deliver. And again, in this list, we are sticking with mostly the global brands. And we're doing that because on this list, I believe that the most important thing is variety. And the way we get the most variety out of $300 is to purchase smaller packages of cigars. Okay? Now, $300 can get us almost any box of Cuban cigars in terms of brand. We can get a box from pretty much every brand for $300 or less. Okay? But we want to taste a variety of brands when we're first starting out. Okay? I believe that tasting different cigars is a significant portion of the fun and excitement of diving into the world of cigars, whether it be Cuban or otherwise. All right? So without further ado, let's dive into this list. Okay? So first, we're going to start with a staple. Okay? And this is the most popular cigar in the world, and that would be the Partagas Serie D number 4. It is a classic Robusto format at 4 7/8 of an inch by 50 ring gauge. And this cigar is a flavorful powerhouse, okay? It is not the strongest Cuban cigar, but it has a substantial amount of punch as well as a rich and decadent flavor, okay? It's never been my favorite, but I've always been pleased with them, okay? I currently don't have any at the moment, actually. I smoked my last one a couple of months ago. I need to resupply, all right? And similar to the D4 is the Serie D number 5, okay? So if you want something a little shorter, the Serie D number 5 has the same ring gauge of 50, but it is 4 1/3 of an inch as opposed to 4 7/8, all right? And they're a little bit cheaper also than the Serie D number 4. Okay? The second cigar in this list is another Robusto, and it is by another major brand, and that is the Romeo and Juliet Short Churchill. I've gone through a couple of boxes of these Robustos already, and I have to say they're one of my favorites. Okay? A good Romeo and Julieta has a bright floral and sweet flavor mixed with almost like exotic wood. Okay, it's like it's like cedary, and it has a very bright floral bouquet with it. Okay, and they are very, very satisfying cigars, but they're not as strong as the Partagas. All right, save for the Cazadores, which is said to be extremely strong. The Romeo and Julieta Short Churchill comes in 3 packs, and it also comes in 10-count boxes, okay? So we'll go over that a little more in the next section, but that's very important, all right? Noting the type of packaging that a cigar comes in could be very useful, all right? But as far as this list goes, we're sticking with 3 packs and maybe 5 packs as well. So far we have a 3-pack of Partagas Serie D number 4, a 3-pack of Romeo and Julieta Short Churchills, and that brings us to a 3-pack of a real powerhouse, the H. Upmann Magnum 46. Okay, these are available in tubo format, as well as the Partagas. I should have stated earlier. My apologies. A 3-pack of Magnum 46 Tubos is a great way to see how spicy and how powerful Cuban tobacco can be. It is one of the strongest Cuban cigars, in my opinion. Definitely in the top 5 for me in terms of strength. It is a Corona Gorda format at 5 5/8 of an inch by 46 ring gauge. One of my favorite Vitolas. And it is an absolute flavor bomb. Okay? This is a cigar that might require a little bit of age, and it's definitely not for a day one cigar smoker. Okay? But if you've smoked Nicaraguan and American market cigars before, then Magnum 46 should be enough for you to handle. But this is definitely, in my opinion, this is the strongest cigar out of the cigars that are covered on this list, and one of Cuba's strongest cigars, period. Okay, next we move into a 5-pack, and this is a staple cigar, in my opinion, an essential. It is one of my favorite cigars, and it used to be the most popular cigar in the world, and that is the Monte Cristo No. 4, a classic Petite Corona format at 5 1/8 by 42 ring gauge. A good box of Monte No. 4, there's nothing like that. Monte Cristo, it hits every station of the cross for me. It's right in my wheelhouse. Just a very... they call it Cuban twang, and this is a really good example. You'll read about it in the Cuban cigar forums. They talk about Cuban twang, and you're like, what the fuck is twang? I don't know what that is. It's really one of those. It's a flavor that it's punchy on the tongue, and it's got a bit of sweetness and a bit of acidity to it, almost like citrus. But it's something you just can't quite put your finger on. And nobody's really been able to describe it in any sort of like coherent dialogue, which is why people refer to it as twang. Okay, but the Monte Cristo No. 4, it is a bright, punchy cigar, and it comes stacked with floral notes and earthy notes as well. The best examples will have hints of sweet caramel and cocoa as well. It is just a phenomenal cigar. It can be purchased in 3-packs, 5-packs, boxes of 10, and boxes of 25. Whatever way you purchase it, I would highly recommend that they enter your collection at some point. Okay? And since this cigar is very reasonably priced, we can spring for 5 of them as opposed to 3. And this will make a nice base for you to try Monte Cristo, and maybe to have a couple right off the bat and then wait a little while on the others and see how they progress with age. It's a good way to really get your feet wet with Cuban cigars. And also from Monte Cristo is the Petite Mundo format, okay? And these are available in 3-pack tubos, all right? And guys, we haven't even broken $200 yet. Understand this. All right, so the Petite Mundo is a 4 and I believe 1/3 of an inch by 52 ring gauge cigar. Okay, and it is an absolute flavor bomb. They vary very much between sweetness and punchy earthiness. And some of them have just been absolute candy bars to me. But they have always impressed me. The first one I ever smoked was about 1.5 years ago. I smoked a 2013, and it just rocked my world. And I immediately went out and ordered a 10-box. And got a 10-box from 2017, and I blew right through that. Just a phenomenal cigar. I highly recommend this cigar for anybody. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you're a newcomer or not. If you haven't tried a Monte Cristo Petite Mundo, I highly recommend that you do. The next is another one of my favorite cigars, and that is the Hoyo de Monterrey Petite Robusto. At 4 inches by 50 ring gauge, it is an easygoing but very flavorful cigar, and it really is more consistent to me than anything else that Hoyo de Monterrey puts out in its larger vitolas. The Epicure number 2 and Epicure number 1 get all the attention, but the Petit Robusto has been more consistent to me than either one of those two ever have. I've had many Epicure number 2s. I've had many Epicure number 1s. And the best Epicure number 2 I ever had was one of the best Cuban cigars I ever smoked. Shit, it was one of the best cigars I ever smoked. A good Hoyo de Monterrey will just bring you to a place that no other cigar can bring you. But finding that experience is like finding a needle in a haystack at times. And it seems that the Epicure number 1 and Epicure number 2, while they are excellent cigars, they just... I find the Petit Robusto to capture all the things that I love about Hoyo de Monterrey more frequently. And since they are a smaller format cigar, they are very inexpensive, and a 3-pack can be had for roughly $30 US. So it makes sense, especially with the budget being what it is, to include this to represent the marca, okay? And finally, okay, mind you, we still have not broken. We've just barely broken $200 USD, if even yet at all. I don't think we even have yet, okay? So, while we're talking global brands, and while we're sampling what there is to sample, I'm sure one brand that everybody who is a day one Cuban cigar smoker has been curious about would be Cohiba, okay? Now, I want to get you the most Cohiba for your buck, okay? So I'm going to say that a good place to start would be a 5-pack of Siglo 2 Tubos, a 3-pack, excuse me, of Siglo 2 Tubos, okay? The Siglos in tubes from Cohiba, they just seem to smoke extremely well, even right off the truck. They don't seem to need as much age as those that come in cabinets and coffin boxes. And everyone's got their own preference with this, and you'll develop your own preference as well. But Siglo 2 is a fantastic vitola to start with Cohiba, if you're not going to start with the Linea Classica. We are still well below our $300 cap. Right now, we are at about $250 USD. So if you want something a little more full-bodied, you could swap out the Siglo 2 Tubos, and you could easily put Cohiba Robusto Tubos, or in cardboard coffin packs, you could easily put those in there as well. And you would still be under your $300 USD cutoff for this part of the feature. So you have enough left over to cover shipping. You have enough to cover Bovida packs, all right? And that is the first part of our Humidor Scores Volume 3, okay? And from that, we have gotten a minimum of 23 cigars, and we have put together a substantial variety in this starter collection right here, where someone could taste 5, 6, 7 different marcas right off the bat, and they could really get a handle on where their palate's at, and they could really, really see how these cigars progress with a little bit of age on them and how well they start to smoke. Okay? So we'll be right back with Humidor Scores Volume 3, Part 2. Welcome back, guys. So, in this list, this is where we really start having fun with this, okay? In the first part, that was all about getting variety, mostly geared towards a newcomer to Cuban cigars. But here, we're going to talk about augmenting your collection with a little more variety, and we're going to mix it up with daily drivers, and this is all stuff that smokes great. And this is where I'm at right now. And you'll notice in recent years that Cuba has been releasing boatloads of Petit Robusto format cigars. Okay, if it's less than 5 inches and over 50 ring gauge, that describes a good amount of Cuba's recent releases over the last half a decade to a decade. And a lot of these cigars right now are just smoking ridiculously good. Okay, some of these are brand new releases that came out within the last year, and they are smoking beautifully already. Okay, so in this list, we have $700 USD, and if I was to spend $700 USD augmenting my collection, I did spend $700 USD augmenting my collection with these exact cigars this year. So, I mean, I wouldn't tell you guys to buy anything that I wouldn't buy personally, and this is how I spruced up my collection earlier this year myself. Okay? So, we're going to start with a cigar that impressed the hell out of me. Okay? And it's a new release, and that would be the Short Day Punch. Okay? This is a 4.5 by 50 ring gauge Petite Robusto. This cigar, absolutely... stunning cigar. Okay, the first one I tried a few weeks ago was just like a candy bar, just very sweet, peanut, caramel, twangy flavors. Very, very sweet for even a punch cigar, which is typically like a medium body, but gears more towards like the floral end of things. I'm basing that on the punch and petite coronations and whatnot. But these new Short Day Punches, man, they really knocked it out of the park with that one. I highly recommend that you guys take a look at it if you haven't done so already. You can find these for as low as $100 USD, or in that neighborhood, a few dollars less, a few dollars more. Probably these days, a few dollars more. I've seen some retailers charging up to $130 for them, maybe a little more. If you wait till they go on sale, though, you could probably find them for around $100 USD. But the Short Day Punch is not one to overlook. I can tell you guys that much. The next one is another cigar that impressed the hell out of me, and it's another recent release. I think late 2019 they were released. The Trinidad Media Luna. Okay, and for those of you who didn't see a place in the market for these, because we have the Vigia, which is also an amazing cigar and also a great way to spend your money. They're similar. They're priced similarly. Okay. They're both excellent cigars. They're both 50 and above ring gauge. They're almost the same size, basically, in terms of length and whatnot. The Vigia is a little shorter, but it's fatter at a 54 ring gauge. The Media Luna is 4.5 inches by 50 ring gauge. The Media Luna, there's enough difference between it and the Vigia that if you have one, maybe you don't need to get the other, but if you like Trinidad, then I would advise you get it. Okay? And between the thinner Vitolas like the Reyes and the Colonials, the thicker Vitola Trinidads are a completely different ballgame than the thinner Vitolas. Okay, the thin Vitola Trinidads are some of the strongest Cuban cigars you can get. My opinion is that the Reyes is one of the strongest Cuban cigars, probably in the top 3. All right, especially when they're young. But the Vigia and the Media Luna behave nothing like that. Okay, the fatter Vitolas enable, I guess, a lot more Velato and Seco primings, and it enables a lot more of a buttery and smooth and flowery kind of profile to the cigar. And they are not the cedary bombs that you get with the thinner Vitolas. Okay, the Trinidad Media Luna is an extremely impressive cigar. These cigars have been selling like fucking hotcakes from every retailer. And anytime a box goes up in my cigar group on Facebook, they blow right through and they sell out immediately. Okay? So that should say enough right there, that there's a high demand for these cigars, and there's a good reason for that. The next cigar on the list is another very popular one, and that would be the K d'Orsay number 50. And this is another 10-count box. The 10-count boxes are the best buy from most retailers. There is wild variation in the prices for a 25-count box of K d'Orsay number 50. You'll see some retailers charging less than $200 for these, which is really the real cost. But due to the extreme popularity of the cigar, and the limited availability. Most retailers are selling them for over 300 USD for a box of 25. But I can tell you right now that the real price is under 200 USD. The 10 count boxes are priced much more in line with the real price of the cigar. Okay, somewhere usually around 100 USD or less. All right, but the K d'Orsay number 50, another Petite Robusto 4 1/3 by 50 ring gauge. This is one of the most elegant cigars that Cuba has to offer, and it is a great way to have a cigar that is full of flavor but does not exhibit knockdown strength. Okay, if you're a fan of Romeo and Julieta, if you are a fan of Monte Cristo, if you're a fan of Hoyo de Monterrey, if you're a fan of Fonseca or Punch, I would highly recommend that you try the K d'Orsay number 50. Speaking of Monte Cristo, next on our list is a 10 count box of Monte Cristo Petite number 2s. Everyone's heard me rave about the Petite and Mundo before, but the Petite number 2 deserves quite a bit of love themselves. The Petite number 2 has given me more great experiences than the Monte number 2, the legendary Monte number 2 that everybody talks about, that all the magazines go crazy over, and people talk about it like it's, God's gift to tobacco. I've never had the kind of experience with a Monte 2 that they write about in the magazines, and I wish I did. It was one of the first Cuban cigars I ever purchased back in 2014. I've gone through several batches of them. Some have been better than others. And I think the problem with Monte Cristo number 2 is that it's produced in such large numbers. The Petite number 2, that's not necessarily the case. Okay, the Petite number 2 is not a small cigar either, really. It is a 4 3/4 by 52 ring gauge pyramide. Okay, so you're getting the same shape as the Monte Cristo number 2, just shorter. But the Petite number 2s I've had, I'm on my second box of them now, are absolute flavor bombs. The construction is excellent. The flavor is just everything you would want in a Monte Cristo. Okay, floral, very floral cigars, earthy with that spicy twang in the middle. And the best Montes have a bit of caramel sweetness to them. And the Petite number 2 is just a fantastic cigar, very powerful, very powerful. More so than most of the other Monte Cristo Vitolas. And I feel like it takes what a Monte 2 tries to do, but it goes right into like that sweet spot of the cigar. And maybe that's the way it's blended to be, or maybe it's because they're produced in smaller batches. But whatever they're doing with Monte Cristo Petite number 2, I can promise you that they're a home run, in my opinion. Anyway, I mean, like everyone says, taste is subjective. I mean, I could be raving about cigars that you find boring or you hate. There's cigars that I love that I've raved about in the Facebook club that I help run, and the other guys are like, damn, I don't know, man. I don't know what you see in that cigar. It's not that impressive. And then there's cigars that they rave about, and then I'm like, I can't be bothered, So, I mean, everyone's going to have to decide for themselves where their palate's at, and we're going to attempt in the near future to fine-tune that and explore the catalog based on what you might like or dislike, okay? The final 2 entries are meant more as daily drivers than anything else. But these are excellent quality cigars, and they deliver top-notch flavor, and these are some of my favorite cigars, period. Okay? And that would be a 25-count package of Monte Cristo number 5 and a 25-count package of Ramon Allones Small Club Coronas. Okay? The Monte Cristo number 5, I never included it on any of the Cheap and Cheerfuls earlier this year because they usually fall just above the price range that I set as a cutoff threshold for the Cheap and Cheerful. But if you're willing to spend a few extra dollars compared to some of the other cheaper ones, they're a much higher quality cigar. The Monte Cristo number 5 is everything that the Monte Cristo number 4 is in a Perla format, which is 4 inches by 40 ring gauge. Just an absolute flavor bomb. And the short format means it can be enjoyed in a short period of time, that it doesn't have to become a 2-hour affair, an hour and a half affair. You can enjoy one of these in half an hour to an hour, depending on how fast or slow you are. Slow in my book, but a Monte Cristo number 5 is a cigar that just satisfies, and to me, they're an absolute essential to a collection because they make for an excellent after-dinner cigar or a nightcap cigar. Sometimes I get in, or it's the end of the night. I've had a couple, and I got a nice little buzz going. I want to smoke a cigar, but I don't want to be tied up for 2 hours. Monte Cristo number 5 is a great selection at that point. Or if I want to read the paper on Sunday morning and, have it with my coffee or whatever, and I don't want to be tied up, for 2 hours the first thing in the morning, but I want a cigar. Monte Cristo number 5 is a great option. And the Ramon Allones Smoke Club Corona, you guys have heard me rave about that cigar so many times already on this channel, but I don't think I need to say much about it. But that is another phenomenal cigar, 4 1/3 of an inch by 42 ring gauge, absolute flavor bomb, which seems to be the reigning description for cigars on this list. That should tell you something. But these cigars are both priced right, and they are top quality cigars. Okay, and I wouldn't ever have neither one of these cigars. I wouldn't be caught dead without either one of these cigars in my collection at this point. Now that I've experienced them, I don't ever want to not have them again. Okay, and in this list, depending on what retailer you go, we came in at just over 600 USD. In some cases, we came closer to 700 USD, but we never ever crossed the 700 USD threshold. Okay, so that is 6 boxes of cigars and a total of 82 cigars for under 700 USD. And these are all high-end brands. This isn't any sort of budget stuff. This is all high-end stuff that we're talking right now. And if you are somebody who doesn't have a lot of variety in your humidor, or if you're looking to get some top quality cigars, but you don't want to commit to a 25 count box, or if you don't want to commit a few $100s to a full box of some of these cigars, 4 out of the 6 we're talking here come in 10 count boxes. The Short Day Punch only comes in a 10 count box, and the Trinidad Media Luna only comes in a 12 count box. So keep that in mind. And probably the next time I order those cigars, I'll be ordering 2 or 3 boxes at one time, just because I know that I'll want another one after that box is done. So we got one more list for you guys, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. And we are on to our third list right now, okay? And this third list is going to be a $1,000 USD spending cap. Okay? So, $1,000 can get you a lot of cigars. $1,000 can get you a lot of good cigars. At the end of the day, all this depends on what you perceive to be value. Okay? Now, if you want to see how many possible cigars $1,000 can get you, the answer, a lot. If you want to spend $1,000 on good cigars, okay, again, that's subjective. But I got 6 boxes right here that, to me, deliver everything that I want in a cigar. And to get all 6 of these boxes will cost you $1,000 USD or less. Okay? So we're going to get a couple of 10 count boxes out of the way. And these are both Tubos. And that would be the Bolivar Royal Corona and the Punch Punch. The Bolivar Royal Corona is probably the most balanced Vitola in the brand. It's not nearly as punchy and full strength as the smaller Vitolas like the Corona Juniors and the Petite Coronas. It's not nearly as nicotinic as those two Vitolas, but a good Royal Corona has a excellent balance between the strong lemon cedary profile of the thinner Vitolas and the floral and earthy and bright blends of the Bellicose Finos. The Bellicosos Finos is perhaps a little too mellow for a fan of Bolivar and fuller flavored cigars, but the Royal Corona, I believe, strikes a perfect balance between the two. Okay. The Punch Tubos. Okay, those of you that have been following my content for a while, you guys know that Punch is just, for me, it's the bee's knees. It's one of the greatest Cuban cigars ever made, in my opinion. It's extremely balanced. It showcases what Cuban tobacco can do extremely well, especially when they get some age on it. It was a Punch with 3 years of age on it that really did me in and changed my opinion about Cuban cigars forever, and started this journey for me from being a casual Cuban cigar smoker who smoked primarily non-Cuban cigars and had a collection of Cuban cigars and dipped from both sides. But after I experienced this particular Punch, it really started to turn the tide for me and get me over to this side of the fence. And I know I've repeated that multiple times before. I know I've spoken about that cigar multiple times before, but I believe it's important to really show you guys how I would spend the money if it was me. And that's exactly what I would buy. Again, Monte Cristo number 4, this time in a 25 count box. Like I said earlier, I believe the Monte Cristo number 4 is an essential cigar to have in a Cuban cigar collection. For me, they strike a perfect balance, and they're relatively inexpensive. You know, a box can be had for about $155, $170, somewhere in that range. You know, every retailer varies by a few dollars in price, but you'll find them under $200, and they are phenomenal cigars when they're on. Unfortunately, they're produced in very large quantities, so this is a cigar that I would recommend that you really deal with a retailer that's going to pick out a very good box for you, or you do a little bit of research about box codes and maybe find out from some guys in some of the groups which box codes are smoking good on Monte 4. The fourth box is another cigar that I've really spoken about quite a bit, and it's in very limited quantities these days, and you might have a hard time finding it, and that is the El Rey del Mundo Choix Supreme. The Choix Supreme is a Hermosos number 4 Vitola, which is 5 inches even by 48 ring gauge, so it's pretty much like a Robusto, just a tiny bit different. Pretty much every Cuban Hermosos number 4 right now is just hitting something ridiculous. I mean, from the Vegas Robena Famoso, the H. Upman Connoisseur number 1, you know, the St. Louis Rey Regios, they're just phenomenal cigars, and a lot of them are only available in the niche brands, and they're just well worth tracking down and experiencing for yourself. But the El Rey del Mundos, they have an incredible medium-bodied flavor with a lot of baking spices, some earthiness, some floral notes, and some sweetness to them. And they're a very unique cigar, very classy cigar in my opinion, and they're a cigar that I always want to have in my collection. Somebody had told me a rumor that they heard that they were being discontinued. I haven't heard anything to confirm that. I've asked a couple of La Casa del Habano owners if they've heard anything like that. They tell me no. So I'm going to pray that that's the truth, and I'm going to continue to try and stockpile them while I can. I had a box from 2018, from May 2018, that I fell in love with. I still have about 9 or 10 cigars out of that box that I got from Iovanis for a while back. And this past summer, I ordered a whole bunch of singles, and I actually was able to get another 25 count box. There was only one retailer online this past summer who had Schwa Supreme in stock. That was EGM Cigars, and I got another box from them, November 2019 box. I haven't broken into that box yet, but I'll tell you that they are beautiful cigars. The wrappers look the exact same color as the 2018 box, and they look like the singles that I just got in mid-July, so I will say that they are probably going to be excellent as well. But I am thankful that I have a good stockpile of these going for now, and I reach for them sparingly because discontinued or not, they are produced very sparingly in small quantities. So if you come across a box of these and you've been thinking about getting it, it's one of those buy first, think later type situations, because if you pass it up, it probably won't be in stock the next time you come to look for it. And who knows the next time they'll be back in stock. Okay, retailers are out of these for months at a time. So if you have been curious about this cigar and you come across it in stock somewhere, I advise you make the purchase. The 5th out of 6 cigar on our list is the Monte Cristo Especial No. 2, which is a Leggito No. 2 Vitola, also known as a classic Panatella. This is a 6x38 Panatella cigar, and it is one of Monte Cristo's finest cigars, if not the finest. It's in a class of its own compared to the numerical series. Compared to the Mundo series, it's a different blend. These are just more elegant. These are sweeter. These are just a smoother Monte, and they're priced accordingly at almost $300 for a box of 25. If you are looking at purchasing a box of Monte Cristo Especial No. 2, may I recommend the REG factory code. Anything coming out of the factory, REG, I'm not sure what factory this is, and I'm not a big code chaser, guys. I'm just letting you know that thinner Vitolas like this, sometimes it matters where they're rolled, because if a particular factory is very good at rolling certain formats, then that's something to take note of. And I have 3 thin format Vitolas, boxes that are thin format Vitolas that were rolled at this factory that all have excellent draws, excellent construction, and excellent flavor. Okay, so that's something to take note of. And the Monte Cristo Especial No. 2 is a special occasion cigar for me. It's not something I reach for every day. But I'll tell you, I had one this morning, actually, because it was a nice extended weekend for me. And man, it's just every single time, just pure class. Phenomenal cigar. And that brings us to our headliner for this part of the feature. And you guys are going to roll your eyes at me. Yes, it's a Cohiba cigar. It is the Exquisitos. Okay, these are 5x33 short Panatellas, also known as a Sion. The short Panatella, Vitola, and Cohiba go together like cookies and milk. There's just no getting around it. Cohiba excels in thinner formats, and these particular cigars, they are a cigar that is usually slept on by a lot of guys that just want something more substantial. They want something that is going to go further for their dollar. They want something with more bang for the buck. But this is my personal list, and I'm telling you guys that I enjoy the fuck out of these cigars. They're just phenomenal cigars. I don't pay attention to how big or small they are. They're just every single one that I've ever had, and I've gone through a couple of boxes of these in a few different batches. They've all had excellent draws. They've all provided me with phenomenally rich flavor, especially for the size of the cigar. You light up the cigar and you're like, wow, this is a lot of flavor for a small cigar. Just deep, rich, elegant. If it's a Panatella and it's Cuban, it's good. That's just my opinion. You know, Cuba excels at formats like this. And I wish they still made more cigars like this. There is no other Vitola that's exactly like this in Cuba right now. There are similar Vitolas like the Rafael Gonzalez Panatella Extra, but there are no identical Vitolas to this in Cuba right now. And the beauty of the Exquisitos is that they are available in 5-packs, and if you are unsure about them, you can purchase them by the 5-pack, and you can see what you think about them. But these are cigars that I'm always going to keep in my collection. I find myself gravitating towards these cigars again and again. And if you compiled the cost of the boxes for this entire list, you would likely be well under 1,000 USD. You'd be close to it, but no matter which retailer you went to, you would come at under $1,000 USD every single time. And at once, that sounds like a lot of money to drop, but over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever you're willing to commit, it can be done very reasonably, and you can get a good amount of cigars out of that for that amount of money. Okay, I'm looking at 120 cigars here for 1,000 USD. Okay, so if you break it down, not a bad price. So I hope you guys found this feature useful, and we'll be right back with our final thoughts. Back, guys. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to check out this feature, and we'll be back soon with more. And in the meantime, I want to know from you guys, what do you want to see? What would you like me to cover? I want to know. Please include it in the comment section or drop me an email, whatever you want. Just, I'm interested in hearing from you, and I want to know what direction you'd like to see the channel go in. As far as I'm concerned, coming soon, we're going to be covering the different flavor profiles of the marcas and whatnot, and we're going to be going over more recommendation videos. But I want to know, I'm always interested in hearing from my viewers about what they're interested in hearing about. Okay? So I hope you guys are enjoying your fall, and I hope you guys stay safe, smoke well, live well, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right? Take care.